Apple butter. What if you could get that deep caramelized apple butter flavor without babysitting a cauldron over an open fire for hours? Today, I'm showing you how your oven can do the heavy lifting so you get that rich, old-fashioned apple butter taste with way less work. And wait until you see the color transformation. Seriously, it's magic. Hi, friend, come on in. Over the next few minutes, you'll discover why apple butter is not just applesauce with cinnamon, and I'll show you the one step that gives it that signature caramelized depth. Making apple butter is a process, but it doesn't have to take all day or take over your kitchen. First, let's talk apples. The right varieties make all the difference. I'm using what I have available right now, mostly because I grew these apples. Winter banana is tart and saucy. Honeycrisp is sweet and crisp. And Macintosh is sweet tart and perfect for breaking down. Apple butter is a richly spiced, thick spread, so saucing or dual-purpose apples are the best to use as they break down beautifully and give a smooth butter. But that said, any apple will work here since we are blending them, so use what you have available to you. A blend of apple types will also help give a deeper, richer flavor, so mix things up a little if possible. Peeling? It's totally optional. I skip it, giving me more fiber and less work. Just core and seed your apples unless you have a food mill. And yes, I started with a pot that was way too small, but hey, kitchen adventures, right? There are many ways to core an apple. I am using an all-in-one tool, but a regular knife works just as well to quarter and remove the core, as does a simple coring tool. Thinner slices will break down faster than larger chunks. Add about a cup of water to your pot. If you have it, apple juice or cider is even better for a flavor boost. This initial liquid keeps the apples from sticking as they start to soften and collapse down. If you're using a slow cooker or turkey roaster, you might not need the extra liquid, but heads up, caramelization will take longer with gentler heat. Pop the apples on the stove over medium heat with the lid on. Stir every 30 to 40 minutes. You should hear some gentle bubbling and smell a wonderful aroma of cooking apples. Every time you stir, evaluate if there is enough water at the bottom to prevent scorching. Stirring also ensures the apples are not sticking to the bottom, which can happen if the heat is too high, and it turns the apples to ensure even cooking. The stirring also gives me a chance to judge how soft the apples have become. After about 2 hours, they should be soft enough and ready for the next step, but this will depend on how many apples you have in your pot and your temperature. Pro tip: this first stage can also be done in the oven. Spread the apples on a baking dish and bake at 300 to 350 Fahrenheit or 150 to 175 Celsius for 1 to 2 hours. The oven gives you a drier applesauce base, which actually shortens the later cooking time. Just don't crank the heat. Scorched apples do not taste all that great. Once your apples are soft, it's time to blend them smooth. Welcome to the applesauce stage. Use an immersion blender or food mill. A food mill is really handy for removing seeds and skins, allowing you to save more time by skipping coring and peeling. If you're using a regular blender, let the apples cool a little bit first and follow your blender's safety instructions for blending hot items. After blending, I like to pull out some of the plain applesauce here. It pairs perfectly with pork, is a great oil substitute in baking, and tastes great for snacking. Plus, I get 2 products with 1 cooking session. That makes it totally worth adding in extra apples. Now for apple butter. This is where the magic happens. Pour your puree into a baking dish. Stir in 1 cup of brown sugar, half a cup of white sugar, 1 tablespoon of cinnamon, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, an 1/8 teaspoon of cloves, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla. I added in molasses for the brown sugar component. Tweak the sugar and spices to taste. Remember, your apple sweetness will vary. I held back some sugar and I'm glad I did, otherwise this would have been overly sweet. My mix of tart and sweet apples was just right. Give that a really good stir. Tasting now will taste good, but the apples will reduce down, concentrating the flavors, so it will not be an accurate indication of how sweet or balanced the final apple butter will be. At this point, we have just made sweetened, spiced applesauce. Bake at 300 Fahrenheit or 150 Celsius for 3 to 4 hours, stirring 2 or 3 times to reincorporate the caramelized top. You'll see the color deepen from pale brown to a rich dark amber, and your kitchen will smell amazing. If you have a low broil feature on your oven, lower your rack and take advantage of that top heat to caramelize the top layer. This oven step, generating that caramelized layer, is really what makes this go from applesauce to apple butter. It is that slow transformation of the sugars into something richer, darker, and more intensely flavored. That caramelization is the magic, and you just can't shortcut it by stirring spices and sugar into applesauce. To test the thickness, spoon some of the hot apple butter onto a plate. If it slowly releases liquid, it isn't ready yet. And if it still tastes like applesauce with cinnamon, it definitely needs more time. If it stays mounded without seeping out liquid, it's probably ready. Hot apple butter will behave differently from cold apple butter, so test while hot, as that is when it will be more likely to release the liquid. Once it cools down, it will thicken more. Use a cold plate to quickly cool the apple butter to see if the texture is thick enough for your liking. Taste it once you feel it is done to verify how rich the caramelization is, and this is the time to adjust sugar and spices. Make it yours. Give it more time if you want it thicker or more richly caramelized. Here is my finished apple butter. Deeply spiced, richly flavored, and thick enough to spread. That caramelized depth, it comes with time. Now you can make apple butter that tastes just like Grandma used to make, but with a little help from the oven. This pairs nicely with fresh biscuits. Check out that video linked above and in the show notes. Want the printable recipe? Grab the free plus download from the links below. If you love making pantry staples and saving money, hit subscribe. I've got more scratch cooking recipes and techniques coming your way, and you won't want to miss them. Thanks for hanging out with me.